Hey there, friends at home and around the world. Today I am going to bring you some traditional Mennonite cabbage rolls. This is how I am familiar with making them. I'm sure there are other methods out there, but this is how I do it. So I'm going to start with my cabbage and chop off just that bottom part of the stem. And then I'm going to get it into my pot and get it ready to steam those leaves. Now I was in a hurry today, so I didn't perfectly steam it through all the way, and usually I don't want to anyways, just because there's no way we would eat an entire cabbage worth of cabbage rolls. And so generally I make a recipe of cabbage rolls and then I'll use the rest to either make some cabbage borscht or coleslaw or both. So that's what I'm going to do with this one as well. Now in traditional cabbage rolls, the way I'm used to them, there's also some rice, and I double the rice because I like the rice. So while my rice is cooking and my cabbage is steaming, I can start getting ready the rest of the mixture. So that's going to just be very simple. It's ground beef, an egg, salt, pepper, and onion. I like to start by just breaking up my ground beef first, just so that it'll be easier to mix everything else in. But it doesn't have to be done this way. I've dumped everything in and then started mixing. It's just however I feel like doing it that day. There's no right or wrong. So this is a close-up of the rice. I've got it cooked just enough that the liquid is gone, but the rice has not started burning on. That to me is the perfect sign of well done rice. I'm just gonna dump it in here and let that cool a bit while I mix up the sauce that's going to go over the cabbage rolls. Now in the meantime, I do want that rice to cool a little bit more than that, so I've been peeling some potatoes to go with supper as well, and I'm just going to cut them up so that they cook quickly and get them boiling on the oven. The sauce for these cabbage rolls is very simple. It's a little bit of butter, some cream, a little bit of ketchup, and some tomato soup. Now at this point I was starting to get a little distracted as we had started watching The Absent-Minded Professor a few days ago, And tonight my family was finishing that while I was making supper. So you'll see I'm glancing up at the TV quite often. And I've tried to cut out a lot of the parts where I start laughing because it was a pretty funny movie. It was black and white. It was the really old version, but we really enjoyed it, and it was just a great family movie. So now I figured my cabbage was steamed enough I could start peeling leaves off, and it was extremely hot. This happens every time, but I'm just gonna start working away at it as best as I can, as much as my fingers can handle. Another thing I've started doing over the last several years that I never used to do is I've been cutting out the really thick, hard stem that's in these cabbage leaves. And then on this first leaf, some years or sometimes I have just completely wasted and thrown that top leaf or the top two leaves into my compost pail for the chickens. But they looked really good this time, and so I decided to save them. But that first leaf did need a little bit of trimming on the top edge as well. So now I've got the rice all mixed in, I've got that hard stem part chopped off, and I'm just going to start filling these cabbage leaves, rolling them up like little packages, and putting them into my casserole dish. And I am making very huge rustic cabbage rolls. If I was making this to actually look fancy and nice and take away or anything like that, I would try to make smaller, more delicate ones. But, I mean, it might sound bad if I say I didn't care, but at the same time, I kind of didn't care because for us, we don't care. We just wanted to be able to eat supper. So I was just going rustic and big here. And if that was the case, if I had wanted to make smaller, delicate ones, I could have easily cut these cabbage leaves in half as well. But then sometimes too, if I make them too small, then we start to feel like we're eating a lot when we have to take 3 or 4 or 5 of them. And so sometimes if I just make some bigger ones, then it doesn't feel like we're, eating a lot or being greedy, or I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I don't even know why we feel that way sometimes. But anyways, sometimes it's just nice to take one big one and be done, or 2. And also some people don't like a lot of cabbage, so then they would much rather have just half a leaf and even fill that leaf fuller and then roll it up. But for the most part, I think almost everybody in our family, maybe not Kevin, all likes cabbage rolls, and it's not a problem. I think I took Kevin's cabbage, or maybe he did even eat it himself, or maybe I gave his cabbage to the chickens. But for the most part, our family all likes this. So anyways, now you can see that I didn't have this cabbage fully cooked through. You can tell where the leaf is breaking more easily, where it's whiter, that's where it's not steamed all the way through. And I could have put it back in the pot and steamed it a little bit longer, but I was getting in a hurry to get supper into the oven. I knew it was going to finish cooking, baking there in the oven, and so I was not concerned. Alright, so here we go. It ended up making 2 casserole dishes full, and I baked them both, but then I ended up throwing the one into the freezer. So now I've got some cabbage rolls for next time. So even if it's not a big favorite for everybody in the family, I could do 1 casserole dish of cabbage rolls, which only had 5 huge cabbage rolls in it anyways. And then I could do another meat, or if we have some leftovers in the fridge but it's not enough, I could pull out some cabbage rolls to go with it. Anything like that, I've got options. wondered when I was initially making this sauce if it was going to be enough for all of them, especially because I know we also like to use it as a gravy on our mashed potatoes and just extra sauce on our cabbage rolls once we've got them cut up. And as soon as I had it poured over the cabbage rolls, I knew I would have to make another batch of it. There was no way it was going to be enough. And I don't know, sometimes different cooks can do the exact same recipe and have different results. And so in my case, I have found if I don't have enough sauce over the cabbage rolls, the tops of them tend to want to burn. And then you've got a chunk of burnt cabbage on the top of the cabbage rolls. And to me, that's just not appetizing. So I've learned that what works for me is to just make sure I've got enough sauce on there, and then it all works. So here you can see now they're just slathered in sauce, and we love them that way. The lids on and they are ready to go into the oven, and I'm going to quickly pull my cutting board and knife back out. I forgot that I wasn't finished. I was getting too distracted with the movie, but I remembered that I did want to finish cutting up this cabbage so that it was all done and dealt with. Now those cabbage rolls are going to bake for about an hour and a half at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So there we go. That is what they look like when they're all done. No burnt tops, and they were so yummy. I took a nice dark leafy green one. That was kind of what was drawing me to those first couple leaves, is just how dark green. I always hear how dark green leafy vegetables are so good for you. And so that was what I was hungry for. That's what I was wanting. And I generally only make cabbage rolls about once a year when it starts getting really cold. It's kind of a comfort food, but it's not really that difficult. I just don't know why I don't make it more often, but that's what I was hungry for this week. Maybe it's because I generally don't have cabbage on hand. It's something I have to think of to actually go buy. I don't know. I don't know what the rhyme or reason is to it, but I just, for whatever reason, I love cabbage rolls, and I just don't make them that often. So the cabbage was nice and soft. I could cut it quite easily with my fork. Here is our rustic cabbage. I just cut it into chunks instead of into little strips. And you can see that that ground beef is fully cooked through and all that rice in there. Oh, it was so delicious. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you found a new recipe that you can add to your meal planning, your menu, and on your plate. And I look forward to bringing you another one next time. Take care, everyone. Bye.